Hi, everybody. Welcome to you all. My name is Dale Howard. It will be my privilege to be your presenter today for this monthly Sensei webinar. Today, the topic is defining a new project, the basics for launching a new project schedule. My name, Dale Howard, your old friend. I am the Director of Education at Sensei Project Solutions. That's my handsome mug in the bottom of the PowerPoint slide. I'm currently one of only 64 Microsoft Project Most Valuable Professionals, or MVPs, in the entire world. Currently the co-author of 21 different books on Microsoft Project, Project Server, and Project Online. I've used every version of Microsoft Project since version 4.0 for Windows 95. Boy, does that take me back a few years. And I've used every version of Microsoft's PPM tool since it was introduced under the original name of Project Central back in the year 2000. I actually have 20 years now of Microsoft Project experience under my belt and 17 years with the Microsoft PPM tool. Today I am speaking to you live from my office here at my home in Wildwood, Missouri. I'm in a far west suburb of St. Louis. Little bit about our company before I roll with the content. We are Sensei Project Solutions. We were Microsoft's Partner of the Year in the PPM space in 2014, the only North American finalist in 2015. Folks, we eat our own dog food. We live and breathe Microsoft Project, Project Server, and Project Online. We even use those tools to manage our own projects. We do have clients all over the world, currently in 35 different countries. We have staff all over the world in the US, Canada, Brazil, and Australia. What makes our company unique, I believe, is the depth and the breadth of the products and the services that we can offer your organization. If you are already a customer of ours, we do thank you very much for your business. And if you're not currently one of our clients, we would kindly ask you to consider us when you're ready to do a PPM implementation, if you need anything else such as training or any of our products. This webinar, now let's go ahead and get started with the formal content. Commercial is over. What about this webinar? Well, this is based on content that comes from our best-selling book, Proactive PPM with Microsoft Project 2016 for Project Online and Project Server, co-authored by Kenneth Steinus, our company president, and little old me, Dale Howard. This webinar today is meant to help you to understand the 6 important steps that you should follow whenever you're setting up a new project. What I'm going to show you here today is relevant whether you start your project from a template or from a blank project, whether you're using Microsoft Project in desktop-only mode, or if you're using it in conjunction with either Project Server or Project Online. Folks, I've got to warn you, though, this webinar today may very well point out the obvious to you. It may cause you to say, well, duh, I already knew that. And if that's the case, ladies and gentlemen, good for you. I'll give you a virtual pat on the back for knowing the things I'm about to present. So let's go ahead and dig right in. What I want to show you is a 6-step method that you can use for defining a new project. This method, I believe, will put you on the path toward success in planning your schedule. So here are the 6 steps that we recommend. First of all, set the start date for the project. Then specify the properties for the project. Third, display the project summary. Task goes by 2 nicknames, row 0 or task 0. Then create any additional calendars as needed, and then set one of them to be your project calendar and your non-working time calendar. Set project options that are unique to your project. That's step 5. And then step 6 is to save your project according to your organization's naming conventions. So let's dig right in. Step one is to set the start date of the project. I want you all to keep this in mind always. Microsoft Project, first and foremost, is a scheduling tool. Always has been, always will be. So by default, the way the software works is it will always calculate the current finish date of your project based on the start date that you enter for your project. Where do you do this? You click the project ribbon, you click project information, and you will set the start date in the project information dialog. If you are, by chance, using Project Server or Project Online, while you're in this dialog, you should also specify values for any of your organization's custom enterprise fields. So let's go ahead and see how to do this. Folks, I have a slightly doctored blank project open right now, and I want to show you how to set the start date. So I'm going to click Project Information. In the top half of the dialog, upper left corner, there is a Start Date field. This is where you set the start date of your project. So let me go ahead and say that this project is actually going to start on Monday, May the 2nd. Whoops, that's not 2016. Duh. I think it needs to start in 2017. What do you think? So let's go to May the 1st, 2017. There we go. That's more like it. And I'll click OK. Folks, nothing extraordinary happens except that Microsoft Project will scroll the Gantt chart pane immediately to the right of the task list. You'll be able to see a little dotted line that indicates the start date of the project. Nothing extraordinary there. So that's step one. Step two is to specify the project properties. This may be new to you. Where you do this is in a very, very hidden place in Microsoft Project. In earlier versions, it used to be very obvious, but now Microsoft has buried it. You click the File tab. You go to the Info page. Over on the far right side of the Info page, you'll find a Project Information drop-down menu. It's not very obvious, and if you click it, you'll choose the item called Advanced Properties. Now what Microsoft Project will do, it'll display the Properties dialog for the project. There are a couple of items that are really important. The title field and the comment field, both of these are used in conjunction with the project summary task. That's row 0 or task 0. There's also several other fields that can be used in views and reports in Project Server or Project Online if you're using those tools. And most of the fields you see in the dialog, you should know they're used for file searching if you're using Microsoft Project desktop-only files without using Project Server or Project Online. So let's go ahead and see where this hidden feature is. Folks, if I click the File tab, that'll take me to the Info page of the Backstage. Now here's where it's hidden. Over on the far right side, over here where you'd never notice it because there's these big buttons here on the left, but over on the right, there's this little tiny Project Information Pick List. If you click the drop-down arrow, you'll find the Advanced Properties item. When I select that, Microsoft Project will display the Properties dialog for this project. By default, the title will be whatever the name of the project currently is. Well, what I'm actually going to do now is put in what I want to call this project. So I'm going to call this iOS app for light rail. And this is a software development project. So I'm actually going to copy that value. Author, Dale Howard, yours truly. Manager, well, I'm both the author and I'm going to be the project manager for this project, so I'll put my name again. Company, well, this is Sensei. project solutions. Obviously, you'd be filling in your own information here for your own projects. Category and keywords are used for file searching, as is the subject. Remember, everybody, it's file searching for only desktop projects saved as MPP files. It's not used for searching for Project Online or Project Server projects. And then lastly, comments. Let's put in develop a new iOS app for light rail customers. And the idea of this would be that customers could buy light rail tickets. They could see the schedule of trains. They could see if trains are delayed. You know, they can see if trains are full. They can see the whole 9 yards. So that's the idea, an iOS app to go with our light rail system. So when I click OK, that'll leave me in the backstage, but then I can hit the back arrow. That'll take me to the main Microsoft project user interface. So that's step 2. I think you'd agree with me, not obvious in a million years of how to get to the properties dialog. But once we get there, there's some good information that we can enter. Let's go to step 3 now. Step 3 is a really important one. To display the project summary task, again, I'll keep reminding you, it goes by 2 different nicknames. People call it either row 0 or task 0. Folks, I like to call it row 0. That's just how I learned it many, many years ago. But what is the project summary task? It is the highest level summary task in the entire project. Here's what it does for you, my friends. It will show you the current start date of the project, the current calculated finish date for the project based on all the information you enter. It'll show you the total duration for the project, total amount of work, total amount of cost, and all variance for the project. It'll show you start variance, finish variance, duration variance, work variance, cost variance, and a bunch of other things as well. How do we actually display row 0, the project summary task? It's on the far right end of the format ribbon where there's a little checkbox called project summary task. So let's see where that is, and then we'll see what it can do for us. So if I go to the format ribbon, folks, as promised, over on the right end of the format ribbon, there is a project summary task checkbox. That is not selected by default in Microsoft Project and new blank projects, so it's a good idea to select it as you get started with your project. Now from here, what I can do, I can go ahead and widen task name column as I wish, drag the split bar over to the right. So there's 2 things I want you to know. Number 1, please notice the name of the task for row 0 is what I entered in the properties dialog in the title field. So what I put there will show up somewhere else automatically. Number 2, the comments that I entered are displayed as a note on the project summary task. There it is, develop a new iOS app for light rail customers. Bingo. So I can float my mouse pointer over it and see the note. So folks, we're already gaining some advantages by using the project summary task. Alrighty, let's continue on, folks. Next is to create and set the project calendar. Here's what you need to know about Microsoft Project. By default, it includes a calendar called Standard that shows a work schedule of Monday through Friday, each day 8 a.m. to noon, 1 to 5 p.m. And there are no holidays on the standard calendar at all. Why doesn't Microsoft Project include some? Well, the software is sold all over the world. American holidays don't work so good in the UK. They certainly don't work so good in India or anywhere else in the world. So it's up to you to put your company's holidays on the standard calendar. I personally recommend in the range of 5 years or more. Our company actually does 10 years. When we do this for a client, you should only need to set it up once. But I do strongly recommend that you add company holidays to the standard calendar to have an accurate schedule. Now, we also recommend that unless you have a really, really good reason, you should leave the standard calendar set as the project calendar and as the non-working time calendar unless you absolutely need an alternate calendar. The project calendar is what controls the schedule of every task before you add resources. The non-working time calendar is what shows gray shaded vertical bands in the Gantt chart pane representing non-working time periods such as weekends and your own company's holidays. Now, here's how you edit the standard calendar. You'll go to Project, Change Working Time. You'll either edit the standard calendar or you can create some new calendars as well if needed. Then to specify the project calendar, you can go to Project, Project Information. You'll find a calendar pick list there. And to set the non-working time calendar, you simply double-click the timescale bar that is at the top of the Gantt chart pane. You'll select the non-working time tab in the dialog. Then you pick the same calendar that you selected as the project calendar. So let's see how this works, everybody. If I go back to my project and I go to Project, Change Working Time, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to notice I can do a minimum of two things here. Number one, bottom of the screen, I've already put in a few company holidays. Want you to know I've got them specified for 5 years from 2016 out through 2020. I've also created some exceptions to the calendar, such as New Year's Day of 2017, Independence Day 2020. For example, Independence Day of 2020, the 4th of July holiday is going to fall on a Saturday. So what does your company do about holidays that occur on a weekend? If it's a Saturday, do you get Friday off? If it's a Sunday, do you get Monday off? Or does your company simply grant you Friday off or Monday off if it's on a weekend at all? Or does your company not give you the holiday? Instead, they give you an extra floating holiday that you can use as you wish. See, there's at least 3 sets of company policies that you might need to adhere to when you create your company holidays. So here's what I would like to do. Let's go ahead and navigate to the next holiday coming up here in the United States. This is going to be our Memorial Day holiday. It's always the last Monday of May. So I'll select the last Monday of May 2017. That'll be the 29th. I'll type in Memorial Day. Type in Memorial Day. Now what that will do, ladies and gentlemen, is specify only one occurrence of the Memorial Day holiday. But here's the trick. If you leave your holiday selected, over on the right side of the dial, there's or right side of the dialog, I should say, there's a Details button. When I click the Details button, it opens the details for the Memorial Day holiday. Here's how I make it a recurring holiday. I'll say this holiday recurs every year. It's always the last Monday of May. And how many occurrences? Let's put in 5. Like I said, our company recommends in the range of 5 to 10. We always do 10 for our corporate clients. Then when I click OK, bingo, the new holiday is created. It's going to run now from Memorial Day through the Memorial Day of 2021, from this year out to 2021. You do also have the option to create additional calendars here by using the Create New Calendar button. I won't go into that today. That goes beyond the content of this class. But there's how to set up your standard calendar with all of your company holidays. Then I'll click OK. Now, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't mention this to you at the beginning, and I'm remiss for not doing so, but if you have questions, type them please in the questions section of the GoToWebinar pane. Type them in the question section. I'll be entertaining all questions at the end of my webinar. All right, so I've set up the standard calendar, but I wanted to show you if you needed to use an alternate calendar, one that you've created for a specific purpose, and it doesn't follow the holidays of the standard calendar, then here is how you change the calendars used by Microsoft Project. Your first step is to go to Project Information. This is a dialog we've been to before, but now we're returning because we want to set our calendar. By default, the standard calendar will always be set as the project calendar. This is the scheduling calendar that Microsoft Project will use to schedule every task before we assign resources. If I click the drop-down arrow, I can see the other calendars that are currently available. None of these would really work. What would be valuable is if I had a project where most of the work was being done by people in the UK, for example, I might want to create a UK calendar and have the holidays of the British Isles. Might want to do that. And then I could come here and select the UK calendar. I'm going to leave it set to standard because I do want to use the standard calendar. So if I click OK, that's how to set the scheduling calendar for the project. There is a second calendar, ladies and gentlemen, that is used only to display these gray shaded bands, in the Gantt chart. This is called the non-working time calendar. And if you double click in the time scale bar, if you double click anywhere in the time scale bar, you'll find there's a tab called non-working time. Non-working time. Here is where you can pick which calendar is used to display holidays and weekends with these gray shaded bands. You should always select the same calendar that you selected in the project information dialog. So in my case, I'll be selecting again standard. This step, these two steps, setting the calendar, are only required if you're not going to use the standard calendar for your company holidays and for the schedule of the project. I did want you to notice, ladies and gentlemen, that coming up here on Monday, May the 29th, look at this, folks, see this gray shaded band? This is the company holiday that I set on the standard calendar for Memorial Day. All right, let's get back to our PowerPoint. Next step would be step 5, set project options. Now, we recommend that you go to File, Options to set your options for the project. I do want you to know, however, that in the Project Options dialog, you're going to find 3 types of option settings. First, you'll find Application Options. These are option settings that control how Microsoft Project looks and works. These options affect every project that you open. There are also options that are used for only the current project. There are also options that you can set for all new blank projects, for any project where you start out with a blank file. So I do recommend to you that you set your options according to your organization's requirements or recommendations. Now you're probably going to say, but Dale, what if our organization doesn't have any recommendations? Well, folks, no problems. I'm more than happy to give you some recommendations. Now here's definitely why you'd want to go download the PDF of my PowerPoint presentation, because you'll be able to see these option settings. Remember, this is in the GoToWebinar window, and it's in the section called Handouts, So here are some recommendations for you. On the general page of the dialog, we recommend you change date format and change show the start screen when this application starts. I'll show you how to do this in a sec. On the schedule page, we recommend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different options. And on the advanced page, we recommend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different options. So here's what I'd like to do. Let me show you the option settings that we recommend at Sensei Project Solutions. So I'm going to go to File, Options. That'll display the Project Options dialog. The General tab will be displayed by default. Here's the first one, Date Format. By default, Microsoft Project sets the date format as the day of the week plus the date. We recommend you choose the second item on the menu, the 12809 setting. That will mean that all of your date columns, like start and finish, don't have to be nearly so wide. The second option we recommend you deselect is this little checkbox, show the start screen when this application starts. That's something new that was introduced in Microsoft Project 2013 and then included in 2016. Basically, if you deselect this checkbox, whenever you launch Microsoft Project, it'll just go to the regular user interface with a blank project open, the way it always used to in earlier versions. That's how I like to use it. On the Display tab, no options we recommend changing. On the Schedule page, there are a few, and these are some pretty important options. These are now project specific. First of all, I want you to know that when you're setting these options, you'll probably want to do them twice. First, for the current project you have open, see everybody, when I click the drop-down menu for scheduling options for this project, I can set it for the current project, and then I can do another set of options for all new projects. So you want to do these options twice. So I'm just going to show you for the current project. So here's what we recommend. New tasks created. We always recommend auto-scheduled. We recommend you stay away from manually scheduled tasks because those interfere with creating a proactive schedule, which is what our company strongly recommends to every client. You need schedules where the schedule can freely slip. If tasks finish late, you want to be able to know the impact of the finish date of your project. So stay away from those manually scheduled tasks because they will interfere with that. So go always with auto-scheduled. Default task type, our company recommends fixed work. We also recommend new tasks are effort driven, but that's selected by default when you choose the fixed work task type. And then over on the right, there are two check boxes we recommend you deselect. Show that scheduled tasks have estimated durations and new scheduled tasks have estimated durations. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've ever seen a duration value like this, 1 day question mark, those question marks are displayed because of those two check boxes being selected. If you deselect them, the question marks will disappear. You don't need to worry about them. Okay, so that's on the schedule page. Nothing we recommend on the proofing page. Nothing we recommend on the save page. Nothing we recommend on the language page. But now let's go to the advanced page. There are some options, again, that we recommend. All the way down to the section called Display Options for, whoops, too far, went too far. In the General Options section for this project, we recommend you deselect Automatically Add New Resources and Tasks. That's how you prevent misspelled resource names from accidentally getting added to your resource sheet view. So we recommend deselecting that. And then if I scroll down to the display options for this project section, here's what we recommend, folks. Instead of minutes with min, abbreviation instead is M. H for hours. D for days. We recommend you use the shortest abbreviations possible for these date and time units. And then we also do recommend show project summary task be selected. We did already select that in step 3, so it does show up here. So I'll click OK. And folks, those are the options we do recommend. I want you to notice the duration of the project summary task just changed from 0 days to 0D as a consequence. Now, the final step is a very simple one. Save your project according to your organization's naming convention for projects. Every organization, we believe, should have a naming convention for projects. For example, many years ago, I got to go out to Pennsylvania to work with a company that makes blow molded plastic bottles. For example, water bottles, Hershey's syrup bottles, the kind of bottles you get at the gas station to get a quart of oil. Okay, they make bottles like that. They're called blow molded plastic bottles. Their naming convention was great. I loved it, and I encouraged them. The naming convention for each project was this: the name of the customer, plus the size of the bottle in fluid ounces, plus their SAP cost tracking number for the project. So, name of the customer, size of the bottle, SAP tracking number, and that would be the official name for the project. This is especially important. I want you to know if you are using either Project Server or Project Online. The reason is because the name that you use for the project initially is the name it will be known by throughout the life of the project. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to go ahead and save this project now. So I'm going to click File, Save As. And I'm going to browse, and I'd like to just put it on my desktop for lack of a better place. So I'm going to call this Develop iOS App for Light Rail. Bingo. And that saves the project. So, ladies and gentlemen, we get back to my PowerPoint presentation. It's time for your questions. I've run a few minutes over. I hope you don't mind. Let's see if we do have any questions from the audience. Looks like I do see a question here. And let me see. Oh yeah, I need to bring the Q&A pane. Somebody says audio disappeared for me. I can't help with that. And the second section question, Matt is asking, are the suggestions you've provided all detailed in the PDF that we can download? Matt, absolutely yes. So ladies and gentlemen, I would encourage all of you to be sure and download the PDF. It's in the handout section of our GoToWebinar pane. If you just expand handouts, you'll find it there. Oh, Matt, you are too kind. Thank you very, very much for that. I sure appreciate the kind comment. Ladies and gentlemen, he just declared me a rock star. Matt, the only thing I lack is the rock star salary, you know, and plus all of the concert gigs around the world. Well, folks, there we have it. There's our webinar. I hope you'll come back next month because we're going to continue in this series. We're going to talk about best practices for task planning in a project. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks everybody for coming today. You've been a great group. Good questions all. We'll see you the next time. Bye-bye.